All right, shalom, shalom. All right, before I get started, as always, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, the honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Peace and salutation to the oculus pushing this word in truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. This is the brother Zion Amon from the GMS Detroit Bike Camp. Coming to you with another video dealing with the pride of Moab. You know, the pride of Moab is being sought out by the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? Because should be really next to the so-called white man in terms of pride. You know, Moab is a proud nation, right? Being a so-called Chinese, right? They're very proud in spirit. You know, if you ever, you know, which, you know. You know, brothers have all had their, you know, personal experiences. But, you know, when you encounter so-called, you know, Chinamen, you go to their restaurants or beauty supply stores or whatever the case, you know, it's always this, you know, spirit of haste, you know what I'm saying, which basically comes from racism, comes from hate, right? Because Moab and all these heathen nations, they don't like Jake, you know what I'm saying? And that's just by design of the Heavenly Father. But they go so far to actually show their hate. They show their distrust, their dislike, and everything. You know what I'm saying? They'll take whatever money can get off of you, but in terms of you know, just doing right by you, treating you right, being how you would say, kosher or whatever, like that's not in their spirit. You know, if it is the case, they're just putting on the front. But none of these Moabites are like Jake, like so-called Negroes, Latins, or Native Americans, and you know, just because of all the hardships that they put us through. Right, through different and certain captivities, the Lord is basically, he's paying them a visit. He's visiting all these heathen nations. Essentially, the Most High is making his rounds, right, so to say. But going in on Moab, you know, dealing with China, you know, they're dealing with this coronavirus, right, which here I got a little article here where well, let me just jump into it. But it's man, in fact this video could be a like a response in a roundabout way of a video that Apostle Tahar had did and dealing with Moab. It was titled "The Seas Are the New Ends," right? And that's a fact, because when these other nations look at Jake, you know, we have a obvious look about us. You know, most of us, you know, have you know, melanin. You know, we have that Israelite look, if you will. You know, whether, you know, the dark skin, the fro, you know, big lips and nose, the way we dress, ultimately just our spirit in general, right? It's not tuned with these heathen nations, right? And these Moabites, you know, they show their dislike against us. But now the tables are turning to where, right, Moab has a distinct look. You know, it's not hard to, you know, just on the surface, I'm just speaking as a man, just on the surface, it's not hard to discern who a Moabite is. Now, ultimately, yes, you know, you have to look into the spirit. You have to try the spirit by the spirit to better get a better understanding of who that person may be. But on the surface, when you see, you know, so-called what they say, Chinaman or a Moabite, right? Hey, you look twice. You kind of take a double take because of the stigma that's on the Moabite nation with this coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to basically breathe the same air that they breathe. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be nowhere in their vicinity. You damn sure should not be going to any Chinese food restaurants or any establishment that they running because this disease is heavily amongst their people and amongst their country. You know, so just to play it on the safe side, you want to avoid them at all costs. And hell, ain't nothing wrong with being bold about it. You know what I'm saying? Whether you see one like a Moabite come across your path and you literally cover your face or, you just excuse yourself from the area, whatever the case may be, because, hey, like I say, this stigma is on them. It's not on our people. All right, all the curses, all right, as a whole that's been put on Israel from the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shai, all right, slowly transitioning to these other nations. These other nations about to get a brunt and feel, right, what the curses are, what they entail, all right? And that is nothing that you can shake. It's nothing you can just pray off or whatever. It's an actual curse that the Most High has allotted on a certain people. And he can move that curse to whatever nation he wants to, all right? But just touching on, Moab with this coronavirus, right? They saying the death tolls have topped 1,000, which we know numbers are probably far exceeding that. In fact, yeah, that's what it say here. It say the official death toll just topped the 1K mark, but it's likely 10 times that as China grinds to a halt. Okay. So more than 2 weeks ago, after China locked down a major city to stop a dangerous viral outbreak, one of the world's largest economies remains largely idle. It's like Europe in medieval times, said George Woodkey, the president of the European Chamber of Commerce in China, where each city has its checks and cross-checks. It's becoming increasingly clear that restarting China, the world's largest manufacturer and a titan of global trade, right, would be difficult even if the country made major strides in the next few days toward containing the outbreak. So just all in all, they feeling it. You know what I'm saying? And, hey, a lot of technology, you know, commodities come out of China. All right, so if China slows down, essentially the whole world slows down. So every economy, right, every country is going to feel this in one way or another, right, from a trade standpoint, from a monetary, a money standpoint, all right? And, hey, that's just the Lord visiting this world. The Lord is showing himself, you know. Let's see real quick. This is Psalms. I'm going to start at the top. This is Psalms 59 and 1. It says, to the chief musician, El Tashit, Miktam of David, when Saul sent and they watched the house to kill him. All right, it says, deliver me from my enemies, O my power. So I can feel that. Deliver me from my enemies, O my power. Defend me from them that rise up against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity, and save me from bloody men. Right? That's essentially dealing with all these heathen nations, right? Because all the heathen nations are against us. You read that in Psalms the 83rd chapter. Right? They have the trilateral commissions. They have the Bilderberg groups and their G8 summits and this and that. The United Nations, right? Right? All these nations right? Basically, come together for a common cause against Israel, right? We're the common enemy against all these heathen nations, all right? And, they'll do whatever it takes to keep us in the dark, all right, to keep us, misfortunate, to keep us sick, to keep us dependent, right, upon their world, upon their society. It says, "For lo, they lie in wait for my soul. The mighty are gathered against me, not for my transgression, nor for my sin, O Yahweh. They run and prepare themselves without my fault, await to help me, and behold, thou therefore, O Yahweh, power of hosts, the God of Israel, await to visit all the heathen. Be not merciful to any wicked transgressors." Salah. God, so that's what's taking place right now. The Lord it's not slack concerning his judgment, He's not slack at all. Even though, it may seem like it's slow rolling, the Lord has this thing perfectly, and brilliantly, all right, poetically lined up, lined out, right? The Lord knows exactly what he's doing and how he's going to do it, all right? The Lord's just raising up, on these nations because we're in those times. We're in the end days, I ain't really have no scriptures prepared. In fact, I can read a little more of this. It says, "They return at evening, they make a noise like a dog and go round about the city. Behold, they belch out with their mouth, swords are in their lips. For who, say they, doth hear? But thou, O Lord, shalt laugh at them. Thou shalt have all the heathen in derision. Because of his strength will I wait upon thee, for the Most High is my defense." God. It says, "The Most High, the God of my mercy, shall prevent me. The Most High shall let me see my desire upon my enemies. Slay them not, lest my people forget. Scatter them by thy power and bring them down, O Lord, our shield. For the sin of their mouth and the words of their lips, let them even be taken in their pride, and for cursing and lying which they speak." God, hell, one of the ways they lie to us is by, not informing us, as to who we are, because all the higher elites of all these nations, they know who we are. They have it's clear and understood, all right. But like, hey, as we always say, to keep a lie suppressed, you have to know the truth, because otherwise you would mistakenly, or ignorantly tell that truth without knowing it. So these other nations know who we are, so they know they're careful about what they say, you know what I'm saying? All right, and who they say it to. All right, and that's why for all this time we've never known like who we are. We've been discontinued from our heritage. But now, hey, the Most High is putting us back in remembrance, He's gave us teachers, right, to where we can connect the dots now. He's awakening his men, the hopeful elect, the 144,000 and 1/3 of the nation of Israel. Because, again, like I say, we're in the end days, and the Most High is coming to gather up his hopeful elect. So he's preparing us, right? At the same time, him preparing his people, all right? He's cursing the other nations. He's judging the other nations. He's visiting, right, these other nations for all the things that they've done unto us, right? Which is justice, right? That's how the Most High administers justice. Let's see if I have something real quick. Okay, this is 2nd Ezra 16:1. It says, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria." All right, Babylon, dealing with modern day, what is it, Iraq. But hell, also Babylon is a buzzword spiritually, right, for America. Right, so you can say that's twofold. right? Asia, dealing with those Asian continents, right? China and Japan, most notably, right? The Lord said, "Woe to Asia," you know. Hey, the Lord, hey, He's visiting them, right, with this coronavirus, right? He has it to where the whole earth knows that or basically they're being looked at as the problem. They're the new problem, right? Again, like, hey, the seeds are the new ends, you know. And now it's looked upon as if we have to do something with these people, these so-called Chinese people, right? Moabites. We have to do something with them because they're making a problem, you know, for the world economy, right? Um, just to read on, it says, "Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair, bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand." Okay, so hey, the whole world as a whole, right? It's got they have some explaining to do, right? They have things they got to pay for, right? And they're supposed to be sorry. They're supposed to be basically in the spirit of humbling themselves for, again, all the wickedness that they've done to the Most High's chosen people, right? Scripture said to gird themselves up, right? And to let's say gird up yourself with cloths of sack and hair and bewail your children, right? I mean, you're supposed to be in a state of mourning, right? And you're supposed to be living your best life and, you know, making big power moves and this, that, and the other. And, you know, they're going to do that because they're set up as a superpower as of now. But the Lord, hey, is in fact, the Lord is slowing that up. I read this article, it spoke, if I'm not mistaken, something about the grinding season. Let's see if I can find it. Like, it's going to be hard to maintain the economy if everyone is being quarantined, everyone is sick, right? You can't, you can't have a thriving economy without the people, right? Let me see if I can find where it was at. It says, I'm just jumping down. It says on Monday, Nissan of Japan said it would shut down its plant, Kyushu, Japan, for 4 days beginning later this week due to supply shortages of parts from China. Other car makers like FCA in Italy and Hyundai in South Korea have already warned that a lack of parts from China could force them to curtail production in their home markets. See that? So hey, this is a ripple effect. You know, one hand washes the other. So if one economy is lacking in some way, right, as you can see, all right, it's affecting other global economies, right? It says the local authorities are taking a tough stance with traffic, meaning workers are struggling to return to their jobs. Many towns and cities have begun imposing 2-week mandatory quarantines on arriving truck drivers who picked up cargoes in cities with disease outbreaks or even just drove through these areas. So, oh man, they about to catch a bad one. 2 weeks, like, you know, if they talking about doing quarantines 2 weeks at a time, like, they're not going to produce anything, you know? They're going to come to a screeching halt. It says even factories with enough workers are running into further problems. The packaging industry almost shut down, so everything from plastic packing to steel drums is running out, Mr. What he said. So that's real. Hell, China is known for being what they call them sweatshops, basically overworking their workers or whatnot. And now, hell, they don't even have basically they don't have the manpower that they once had to, you know, facilitate, you know, their businesses anymore. So they catching it. Real quick, this is Ecclesiastes. Yep, this is Ecclesiastes. Let's see. It's 12:3. It says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few." And they few in number, because, hey, well, we just read it was 1,000 deaths due to this coronavirus. Although we know the numbers far outweigh and topple that, that's just a number they got to put out there, because they got to also portray as if they got a handle on it. You know what I'm saying? They have to portray like they got it all figured out, which in actuality they don't. They don't have it figured out. They don't have a handle on it, In fact, the higher elites, they want this to manifest, or rather they want this thing to spread, because pursuant to let me get that real quick. Pursuant to was it Georgia Guidestones? Georgia. Let's see if I can get some of the laws right here. Right? This is the Georgia Guidestones. All right. Which is in Abercrombie, Georgia, right? But basically there's 10 guidelines, as they'll say. Well, it's just Esau's version of the 10 Commandments. Esau's such a devil. He always got to counterfeit whatever the scriptures, whatever we have in the scriptures, yet this devil always got to counterfeit something. But anyway, right, the first, right at the top of the list, it says maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. You see that? So, the numbers that they threw out there is like, some 7 billion people upon the planet. So if that be the case, then they have to eradicate 6.5 million people, right? And, just to start, this coronavirus is definitely, a way to go, right? It says, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of their windows be darkened, meaning, there is no future. They talked about right here, talking about in perpetual balance with nature, meaning as Esau thinking his house should continue forever, right? But hey, what he might not understand is that the Most High, right, is putting an end to Esau's rulership, right? He's about to set up the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latins, and Native Americans, right, to rule in the kingdom of heaven on thrones, right? A nation of kings and priests. And, hey, that's basically one of the best kept secrets, because generally speaking, right, these nations, they don't even see it coming, right? They wouldn't, in their wildest imagination, they can't see, all right, the so-called Negroes, Latins, and Native Americans ever being in a position of power, right? Because we've been down for so long, so we're not even a thought as a nation that could be able to rule the world, to rule the earth, but it's going to be so, right? Thus saith the Bible, thus saith Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And that's going on now, dealing with this music. It's brought way low. The vibration, the frequency of this music is a very low vibration, low frequency, all right? It's all diving into wickedness, lust and, adultery, right? Doing all different type of drugs and popping pills and this, that, and the other. Just a negative, vibration. So the daughters of music is already being brought low. It's going to continue. So, hey, man. Ooh, let's see, what's that with Moab? I think it's Amos. Amos. God, this is Amos 2:1. It says, "Thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Moab," right? Moab being the so-called Chinese, all right, the ones that got that coronavirus right now. "And for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he buried the bones of the king of Edom into line. But I will send a fire upon Moab, and it shall devour the palaces of Kirioth, and Moab shall die with tumult, with shouting, and with the sound of the trumpet." So the Lord, the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, is basically just giving these nations hell, giving Moab hell, for the transgression that they done, right, against the Lord, right, and against his chosen people, All these nations had a hand in touching the apple of the Most High's eye, right, which is his people, the Israelites. So I don't want this to be too long, but that's pretty much the point, Moab, so-called Chinese, they catching hell now. They the new ends, and we'll see what nation is next. All right, so with that, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Kakwadash, give honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well, peace and salutation to the Akim that's pushing his word, and truth and sincerity throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Shalom.